Welcome to Fabulous Feasts. I'm your host, Dr. Donald DeFabio. Let's look at food as a way to not only maintain our health, but a way to improve our health if we've lost it and perhaps even regain it. Let's think about food as a way that we can eat to reduce our propensity or risk of getting sick. We all have a genetic risk for certain diseases. You can reduce that with lifestyle. Lifestyle includes food, eating right, and nutrition. I want to encourage you to reach out and try some different foods that you haven't had before. Show you how you can pair different food groupings for health, for wellness, for longevity, and again, if you've lost your health, to help regain it. Like Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine. That's what Fabulous Food's all about. Today's show is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a chicken with mushrooms and cranberry sauce with a Prosecco glaze. We're going to have as a side dish Brussels sprouts and kale sautéed together and a really nice fresh green salad. Lots of vegetation. Make sure you get your 7 servings of vegetables a day, primarily above ground vegetables. Your above ground vegetables are where your vitamins and minerals are, so you need to eat a lot of them. So I'm going to remind you about that later. So we're going to start off with a piece of chicken. Now, if you look at this piece of chicken, it's a chicken breast. Skin's off, so we reduce the fat. It's pretty big, isn't it? You know, I've noticed that chicken breasts are getting bigger and bigger, and actually all food's getting bigger and bigger. So I did a little research. Now, this is going to be a little lengthy to cook. It's not going to cook evenly, so I'm going to slice it in half. If it was a very thick chicken breast, I might make it in thirds, but I want to get about 1/4 of an inch. Nice sharp carving knife. So why are chickens and so many foods so big is, well, we're producing them that way. To get chickens to be really big, they've figured out genetically which chickens grow faster. They're called broiler chickens. There we go, nice. Nice even color. To mature in as little as 8 weeks, when it used to take 12 weeks. We're going to turn this pan on while I'm talking about the chicken. Medium-high heat, okay? Put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. Just a little because it's skinless. It needs a little fat, otherwise it's going to burn. So those broiler chickens now, if they're maturing, maybe 2 tablespoons, in 8 to 10 weeks, that means they're in a confined environment and they're eating a lot of food. They're not walking around. In fact, some of these hens get so fat so fast, they just sit in place. So they're eating and they're just sitting basically perhaps in their own excrement. So it's not a real healthy environment for the chicken. And it's, you know, a chicken that's been genetically bred to grow fast. Now, if you want to get a chicken that's not a broiler that comes to maturity in 8 to 10 weeks, you have to do some research. You have to go online, and what I did, I researched Bell and Evans chicken. I researched Purdue chicken. I researched Tyson chicken. I researched Amick Farms chicken. I went online, I looked at their website, and I looked at their practices. Were their practices free range? What were they fed? We are what we eat eats. So if this chicken is fed animal byproduct feed, it's going to be high in PCBs, which are contaminants, which are carcinogens. It's going to be high in hexanes. But if they're fed vegetation, corn, soy, if they're fed omega-3 fatty acids, it's even better. So you have to go and do your research. Now, I just touched the chicken. That's going to brown, about 5 minutes on each side. We got to get it nice and golden brown. And then I'm going to take it out of the pan, and then we're going to start prepping the mushrooms. But I got chicken all over my hands. So I'm going to go wash up, and I'll be right back. It takes about 4 or 5 minutes, a chicken on each side. And you want to make sure it's get nice and golden brown. All right, you don't want to burn it, of course, but nice and golden brown. So that's got another minute or 2 to go. You know, chicken is healthy. You do have to worry or be concerned about how it's grown as well as how it's butchered. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But a breast of chicken is 80% protein. It's 80-20, 80% protein, so 20% fat, no skin. Skin changes that dramatically, almost makes it 50-50. But what about the other parts of the chicken? Oh, let's say you got a leg. A leg is 70-30, 70% fat, 70% protein, 30% fat. And then you go into the wing, and the wing is 60-40, 60% muscle, 40% fat. But remember, no skin on those wings, okay? And then lastly is the thigh. Thigh is almost 50-50. It's a little bit more, maybe 55% protein and 45% fat. So chicken is really a healthy protein choice. That's why they're trying to breed so much of it and have it grow so quickly. However, yeah, browned on each side, take it off, put it on a plate. Nice. But I didn't pound these. If you pound just going to turn the heat down for a second. If you pound the chicken, it makes it more tender. Well, one of the reasons chicken may not be tender is related to how it's slaughtered. If the chicken is slaughtered and then allowed to set, to cure, to start to actually age for as little as 6 to 8 hours, and then you cut it off the bone, it'll be more tender because the natural enzymes of the meat are starting to be released. But if they butcher it, if they take it off the bone within 6 hours of killing the bird, it's going to be firmer. That's why tenderizing chickens become so popular. So we're going to need to use this plan. We're going to bring the heat back up about medium-high for our mushrooms, because that's going to pair with this nicely. So we have about 8 ounces of mushrooms sliced. These are mostly mushroom caps. Because this is called chicken alla Sylvia, and Sylvia prefers not to eat the stems. So that's how I got that name. That's going to need a dab of butter, so I'm going to put a tablespoon of butter in there and just kind of let that roast a little bit for a moment. So there we go. We got a little pat of butter in there, tablespoon, because we need a little bit of body for the sauce. So I'm going to let that cook down. Once the mushrooms get a little roasted, absorb some of that fat, then we're going to deglaze the pan with Prosecco wine, as well as some shallots, maybe half of a medium shallot, and 2 cloves of finely minced garlic. There we go. Just got to get a little oil on the or butter. Now, people say, "Oh, butter's not so great." You know, if you're using just a tablespoon like we did, and if you're using grass-fed organic butter, it's not a problem. Remember, grass-fed foods, animals, meats, and products coming from grass-fed animals are going to be higher in omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are a good choice. They reduce inflammation. They decrease the chronic low inflammatory state in our body, which is usually a result of the standard American diet. See, these are starting to throw off their water already. So now that there's a little bit of fluid in there, we're going to put in our finely chopped garlic and our shallots. And if you don't have shallots, onion's fine. And this has got to cook down a little bit. Wait till the temperature comes up. Then we're going to add the Prosecco wine and then the cranberries, and we just let it cook. We're going to need to add the rest of the fluid now. 2/3 of a cup of Prosecco wine. Keep the heat medium-high. And that's just going to sit there and let it do its thing. We'll leave the chicken to just relax and set. We're going to change burners. We're going to jump over here. And we're going to warm this one up a little bit. And we're just going to saute up some Brussels sprouts and escarole. and kale. Now, oil is important. Fats are important. Fat is not the big problem. It's the white flour and it's the white sugar that's the big problem, and that's what drives inflammation. Why do we want to stay away from inflammation? Well, inflammation is any itis or osis in your body. Diverticulitis, gastritis, neuritis, diverticulosis, arthrosclerosis. They're all inflammatory reactions. In fact, there's been a big push lately in the media about the cytokine cascade, because COVID-19 virus, if you get it real bad, you get that cytokine cascade, which is an inflammatory reaction. Well, that inflammatory reaction will be less if you're in a low inflamed state. Yes, there's other reasons it can happen, but the bottom line is we know that non-communicable, chronic, low-grade inflammation and diseases that create that, hypertension, central obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, the inability to metabolize sugars properly, insulin overshoot, all of those variables are related to chronic low-grade inflammation. You can manipulate that, you can change that, you can reduce that, you can prevent that by eating this way. So if these foods aren't familiar to you, just make them familiar to you. If they are familiar to you, eat them all the time and stay away from the things that aren't here. So warm up the pan, put some oil in it, 2 cloves of garlic. I crushed the garlic because I want to be able to see it at the end, so people don't want to eat the garlic but want the flavor. You can just pluck it out or eat around it. But if you crush it, all of the garlic oil and flavor comes out into the oil. Add your Brussels sprouts first. Just put them in. Oh, baby! Let's bring that fire down a little bit. It should be about a medium heat. But the Brussels sprouts go first. A pinch of salt. And then put your kale right on top. This is Lacinta kale. In a future show, we'll talk about all the different types of kale. All right? Great. And then we're just going to stir this around. Now the kale is going to throw off more moisture than the Brussels sprouts. I like this almost toasted. So I like a little bit of a char on my vegetables. But not everyone does. Great. And then we're going to put a lid on that and just let that lower the heat a little and just leave that go. All right? So we get a quick little char on it, just like you'd do a steak or a piece of meat, and then we just let that go. While that's cooking, I'm just going to jump back over here, take a look at my Prosecco sauce. Yes, it's really reducing nicely. My cranberries, I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup of cranberries, dried. Now, you have to read the label when you buy stuff. It's really, really difficult to find cranberries that don't have a little bit of sugar on them. It's just the way it is. Because cranberries are bitter. Most dried fruit actually is treated with sugar. And you got to watch out for those hidden sugars, especially if it's high fructose corn syrup. Because if it's high fructose corn syrup, it's just not a good choice. Throws off that insulin dysregulation we talked about, metabolic syndrome. That's high fructose corn syrup creates it. That's why we're having so much of a problem with obesity today. Now, that's not all dried up, which is the way we like it. We're going to take our chicken that's been browned, we're going to put it back in here. Now, I purposely grilled up more chicken than what I'm going to need. And I'm going to show you why in a moment. That's going to be and pour the juices in. You want those little juices when it sets. So what's going to happen is we have just plain grilled chicken here. And over here is going to be my Prosecco wine, chicken a la Sylvia. Now it's starting to get dry. I want a little moisture. So what I'm going to do is cover it. Lower the heat very low. Just let it hang out for a couple of minutes. Let the food flavors marry. While that's marrying, I'm going to chop up some parsley as a garnish. Let's take a quick look over here. That's getting a little hot, so I'm going to bring it down a little. Actually, you know what it really needs? It needs a touch of water. So here's my ramekin. It needs just a touch of water. The kale, maybe 2 tablespoons. Was not able to throw off enough moisture, so I had to put a couple of tablespoons in there. So we want lots of vegetables. So we got some sautéed vegetables going on in here, which is great. Maybe 2 servings here, but what did I say before? 5 to 7 servings a day. So what else can we have? Well, let's have a nice salad. You can't go wrong with a salad. The salad I'm going to put together, you can put together any salad that you want, but I think what we'll do today is, this is kind of got the cranberries, a little tart, a little sweet, the Prosecco, a little tart and sweet. So let's play with that tart and sweet. Let's grab some endive, all right? We'll take a little endive, and perhaps we'll take some lettuce, some red leaf lettuce, because you want color in your salad. So we're going to blend some endive and red leaf lettuce together and make a nice little salad, and then we'll put it all together, and then we're going to show you how you can think about this meal as meal prep for the rest of the week. So let's chop up a little bit of parsley, 2 or 3 sprigs. Flavor and nutrients. Parsley is very detoxifying. Let's take a look at our chicken. Nice. See, it's got a little moisture in it. It hasn't dried out. We don't want it to dry out. The chicken is absorbing the flavor of the mushroom sauce, and we're going to shut it off. Just let it sit for a minute. Let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, that little bit of water made a big difference. This needed a little bit of water. Almost done. Just let it go. It's almost steaming now, all right? But you char it a little bit first. And of course, here's our endive salad. So I've got extra chicken. And I got salad, and I got, oh gosh, I didn't cook all my mushrooms. Oh man. Oh, hey, I got an idea. Why don't I take a nice container? I like to use glass because I just don't think having food in plastic is a good idea. And I'm going to make lunch. Or I can make tomorrow night's dinner. Or I can make an on-the-go meal if I'm traveling. So I'm going to take one of my chicken breasts. Now this doesn't have any flavor on it at all. Now it's meal prep. So this is what you'll really be doing. So there may be a little parsley on your cutting board. I haven't had the raw chicken on the cutting board. I cleaned it, so it's okay. But I'm going to get rid of this knife because that's the wrong knife. I need a carving knife, all right? Grab a piece of chicken, and I'm going to carve it. Just slice it up in nice size pieces that I can put in my little go container for going to work or for when I come home tomorrow night. All right? You don't want to make yourself feel like it's all cut up, but you want it easily accessible so you don't need more than just a fork when you do it. Now, what am I going to have it with? I'm going to have it with a little bit of my leftover salad. Put it on the bottom. Some of my leftover mushrooms. Put them in there. And now the chicken doesn't have much flavor on it, so you got to season it. You can season it before you slice it, or you can season it now. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. How do you want to season it? I don't know, let's add some oregano. I had some out before. I really like ginger. Sometimes I'll grate some ginger over that, or rosemary. And then this is rainbow carrots. So I had a rainbow carrot in the house. So I shredded it, put that on there. I like balsamic vinegar. You can add red wine vinegar. You can add apple cider vinegar. Hey, guess what? If you have leftover sautéed veggies, now these are hot. What you do is you take some of your leftover, oh, these are great, they're perfect. Let's shut this off. So you might have some of these, for dinner, I hope. But then you can take some of the leftovers once they cool down, put them on top of this, and there's the oil base, and then you just add a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and that's your meal prep idea. You can take the grilled chicken, it's unseasoned, and season it however you want, and make it any other way. You can put it in a wrap if you wanted to. A nice easy way to just put some salt on it right here. And get your pepper on it. And there you go. You can have a nice on-the-go meal and a meal prep for later in the week. Chicken's a great source of calories. They did a study. They're always crunching numbers today. And they found out that more deaths worldwide are related to poor nutrition than any other factor. Not cardiovascular disease, not cancer, poor nutrition. So I want you to think about how you can eat healthy and prepare your foods even ahead of time if you're on the go. So you can do weekly meal prep by just what you did during the week. And having the vegetables are important, but have the salad with it too. The salad's got two different colors. If I added some carrots, there we go. We got another third color in there. I always like to recommend 3 colors in my salads, because by having 3 colors in my salads, it's going to bring in all the nutrients of the rainbow. And let's face it, different food colorings will have different nutrient profiles. So that was how you can put it all together. But guess what? We didn't check our star dish. Let's plate that baby up and let's see how it looks. There we go, a nice piece of chicken. Get some of that cranberry Prosecco on top. Looks good. We got our... See, this is what I was saying. Some people like the flavor of the garlic, but don't want the garlic. Here's the garlic clove right here. I have the flavor. I can leave the garlic clove out. I'm the guy that looks for the garlic clove, but that's just what I like. So we have our kale and Brussels sprouts right there with our simple salad. All right? There's your dish. About 4 ounces of meat, the rest is vegetables. Chow down on the vegetables. That's your anti-inflammatory solution. That's what's going to keep the fiber in your diet. That's what's going to keep you getting the nutrients that you need. Fruits and vegetables are nutrient dense and calorically low. And that's just a good life choice. It's all about eating and eating right. Let's put this in the front. Let's showcase this. And you are what you eat, but you are what you eat eats. So you have to think about where your food comes from. You have to think about how it's produced. You have to think about how you store it and manage it. And you have to think about what's important for you. Do you want to invest in a lifestyle of health and wellness and longevity? Food's a place to start. Sleep's a place to start. Maintaining your chiropractic care is a place to start. exercise is a place to start. It's called a lifestyle. The most important 401k that you have is your health currency. It's investing in your health. That's what the Fabulous Table is all about. I want you to start thinking about what's important, what's your longevity plan for health, wellness, and just enjoying life to its fullest. And that's what it's all about. So, looks pretty good to me. I think I'm going to have a bite. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next show. Fabulous Feast is all about empowering you to make better food choices, because food is where your nutrients come from. Unfortunately, our food supply is not that good as it used to be. For example, our fruits and vegetables are losing our trace minerals. One of the few supplements I recommend everybody takes, my top 4, is magnesium. Why? Because magnesium is essential to 300 different reactions in your body. I use clinical magnesium by Anabolic Labs because it's bound with 3 different amino acids, so it helps with joint health and muscles, it helps with brain health, and again, it supports over 300 different reactions in the body. And unfortunately, even if you're eating organic foods, you may not be getting enough magnesium. Another thing we need, a supplement I recommend, is vitamin D. I do a liquid vitamin D because I take 10,000 units a day. This is a liquid, it's only a few drops. You can also get vitamin D bound with something called K2. So this is K2 D3 tablets. That helps vitamin D3 get absorbed better, makes it more active. You only get vitamin D from the sun. If you're not outside with bare skin, getting the sun midday, you're low in vitamin D. Vitamin D is your biggest bang for your buck as an immune booster, as well as for joint and bone health. And guess what? It's actually considered a hormone, so it's a keeper. On top of that, I also recommend as one of my top 4 supplements, omega-3s, a fish oil. Okay, you've seen it before, Omax. I like the Omax because it's anti-inflammatory. It's enteric coated, so it opens up in your intestines, no fish burps. Great for supporting your nerves, your brain, and it even helps with blood sugar levels and cholesterol levels, things we all need. Now, lastly, if you happen to be eating a lot of fruit, you may be getting enough vitamin C, but if you're on a low carb or a ketogenic diet, you're not getting vitamin C. So that's where I recommend some vitamin C. The perk vitamin C is buffered. So you can take 3, 6, 10 grams of it and it's not going to bother your stomach. So that's why I like it. Most people need several grams a day, especially if you're avoiding fruits because you're on a low carb or keto diet. Our foods just aren't that healthy as they used to be. They aren't as nutrient dense as God made them. So guess what? Those few simple supplements will ensure you're getting adequate nutrient levels. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio. Thanks for tuning in.